Dana, generosity. What is giving? A gift is something that is voluntarily transferred from one person who rightfully owns it to another without expecting any compensation or reward. The act of doing this is called giving. The object that is given does not have to be a physical object or material. We can also give non-material things, such as the giving of our time, skills, and expertise. Thus, volunteerism is a good form of giving. It is said that there are 3 types of giving. 1. Amisa dana, or the giving of material things. 2. Abhaya dana, the giving of fearlessness. And 3. Dhamma dana, the giving of Dhamma. The giving of material things is something that most people are familiar with. We give money, food, clothing, and shelter. We provide medicine and other essentials for living, particularly in natural disasters and emergencies. The giving of fearlessness is more intangible and subtle. In our interaction with others, when we build trust, tolerance, respect, and equality, we are giving fearlessness. For example, in a husband and wife relationship, when the wife can trust the husband not to have an affair outside of their marriage, it gives trust and peace of mind to the wife. The family can live happily without worries. In a business transaction, when we are honest and fair, we also create trust and respect, and our clients or customers are not afraid that they will be cheated. Likewise, when a government is trustworthy and fair, the citizens in the country can live in peace and harmony, happily knowing that their welfare is taken care of properly and their tax money is used for the good of the people and country. The third gift, the gift of Dhamma, is said to excel all other gifts. This is because the gift of truth leads to the deathless and liberation from sufferings. There is also another way of classifying gifts. Gifts can be classified according to 1. Actions, 2. Speech, and 3. Thoughts. In our actions, we can give both material things as well as service. In speech, we give through the use of kind words, encouraging words, positive words, and truthfulness. Likewise, in our thoughts, we can give through kind thoughts, love, compassion, tolerance, and the sharing of joy. It is said that kindness in giving creates love. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thoughts creates profoundness. Why give? From a worldly and mundane perspective, giving can often be seen as a loss. Very often, people give with the hope of getting something in return. What they hope to get may not necessarily come from the recipient. For example, a rich person may donate money to the poor with the hope that his generosity will earn him a place in heaven. This in itself is not wrong and is still to be encouraged. However, he could have benefited much more if he has simply given to the poor without expecting anything in return. We will look into this in greater details later. The benefit of giving is only fully appreciated from a spiritual perspective. From this perspective, the act of giving can be regarded as part of our spiritual practice to 1. Develop non-attachment to worldly things. 2. Reduce greed. 3. Overcome fear of insecurity. And 4. Transcend the self. In fact, in the Macharya Sutta, found in Anguttara Nikaya 5.254 to 5.271. It is said that without abandoning stinginess as to one's lodging, family, gains and status, and without abandoning an ungrateful attitude, one cannot enter and remain in any of the first, second, third or fourth jhanas, and cannot realize the fruit of stream entry, once returner, non-returner, and arahantship. The habit of giving or generosity is conducive to the reduction and eventual eradications of the three roots of evil: greed or lobha, hatred or dosa, and delusion, moha. Thus giving, sharing, and the attitude of generosity are conducive for spiritual growth. From the perspective of Maya cultivation or bhavana, generosity reduces the tendency to be selfish and increases the tendency to be selfless. With courage and sincerity, the practice of giving can be used as a gateway to self-understanding through honest observation of the inner mental processes and tendencies, the intentions and motivations involved, and the beliefs behind them. Conversely, stinginess can bring about, either in this life or in a future life, the very result we fear: loss of possessions. Generosity can bring about pleasant results such as prosperity. Giving and the second precepts. The second of the 5 precepts or Panchasila is this: do not take what is not given. Giving is intimately related to this second precept. In its extreme, the second precept is teaching us to avoid stealing, and the other positive end of this spectrum is giving unconditionally. Greed or lobha is one of the 3 poisons and is associated with attachment, including attachment to sense pleasures. Giving is thus the ideal antidote to greed, as it reduces and eventually eradicates attachment. Inferior reason for giving. Buddhists have a tendency to hunt for merits, thinking that the more merits they can accumulate now, the better is their rebirth. Although this type of thinking is not wrong, please note that this intention is an inferior intention and actually works against one in the spectrum of merits. Actions, whether in body, speech, or thoughts, that actually earn merits are those that are done with right motivation, with purity of mind, and with the intention or aspiration for mental cultivation. So how to give? In the Velama Sutta, found in Anguttara Nikaya 2.20, I quote, "Householder, regardless of whether a gift is coarse or refined, if it is given attentively, respectfully, with one's own hand, not as if throwing it away, with the view that something will come of it. Wherever the result of that gift comes to fruition, one's mind will incline to the enjoyment of splendid food, will incline to the enjoyment of splendid clothing, will incline to the enjoyment of splendid vehicles, will incline to the enjoyment of the splendid 5 strings of sensuality. And one's sons and daughters, slaves, servants and workers will listen to one, will lend ear, will make their minds attend for the sake of knowledge. Why is that? Because that is the result of attentive action." Unquote. It is said that giving must come from the heart. What this really means is that the act of giving is not simply what you can see outwardly. It also includes what you cannot see inwardly. That is, your intention and sincerity in giving. Sadly, in our world today, it is very common to see politicians and other people making a big show of their giving. Outwardly, they may be seen to be acting generously, but inwardly, we cannot really be sure of their intention and sincerity. The art of giving is to know how to give properly. To do this well, we must consider 1. The recipient, 2. The gift, and 3. The giver. The recipient, who to give. It is important to know who to give, and this requires a little bit of consideration and wisdom. 2 basic criteria to look at are A. The needs of the recipient, and B. The worthiness of the recipient. Give to those in needs, especially in needs of the basics for life, such as food, clothing, shelter, and medicine. Thus, in times of natural and man-made disasters, such as flood, earthquakes, tsunami, famine, and war, take the opportunity to give generously. Give to those who are virtuous, as it is most likely to benefit not just the recipient but also the community. Remember also to give to your parents, your spouse and children, your siblings and your friends. This is usually done in the form of sharing what you have with them. The worthy recipient. A recipient who is worthy of your gift is someone who will 1. Personally benefit from your gift. Example, a poor, starving man being given food. 2. Use your gift to benefit others. Example, giving money to a charity that will use the money to house the destitute. On the other hand, if the recipient is likely to use your gift to harm himself or harm others, then he is not worthy of your gift. Harming himself or others here does not mean just physical harms. It also includes harmful effects that come from the validating, strengthening, or perpetuating of negative, harmful, or unskillful habits, such as greed, hatred, and delusion. Thus, it would be considered unwise to give to a drug addict who will only use it to perpetuate his or her unhealthy addiction. In the Buddhist Sutta, the best recipient of your gift is one who has abandoned the 5 factors and is endowed with 5 other factors. The 5 factors that he has abandoned are sensuality, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worries, and skeptical doubts. These are the 5 hindrances. The 5 factors that he is endowed with are perfect morality, perfect concentration, perfect wisdom, perfect release, and perfect knowledge and vision. This list is found in Vacca Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya 3.57. In short, the highest recipient of your gift is someone who is enlightened. On the other hand, if your recipient is someone who will use your gift to bring about harm, injury, or death to another, either physically, emotionally, or mentally, then he is not someone you should give to. The gift. The gift to be given to a recipient should be appropriate and useful so that it can benefit the recipient. For example, it is appropriate to give food to one who is starving, clothes to one who has no or few clothing, medicine to one who is sick, and shelter to one who is destitute. It is unwise to give money to a compulsive gambler, as it will only feed his compulsion. Likewise, it is unwise to give money to a beggar who is healthy and begs mainly because he is too lazy to work. Thus, the choice of gift requires some consideration and wisdom. What about the value of the gift? If a gift means a lot to the giver, yet he gives it away, then the gift is of great value, and the giver gains great merits from the giving away of this gift. Conversely, if the gift is something that the giver himself does not value, then the giving of the gift brings about lesser merits. Likewise, if a gift of great value to the giver is given in great quantity, the value of the giving is greatly multiplied. The gift should be rightfully gained by the giver before he can give it away. Thus, giving what is not yours is an inferior giving. Never underestimate the power of small gifts. In the Vacha Sutta, in Anguttara Nikaya 3.57, I quote, "Even if a person throws the rinsing of a bowl or a cup into a village pool or pond, thinking, 'May whatever animals live here feed on this,' that would be a source of merit." Unquote. Some people feel embarrassed when giving small gifts. Remember that what is more important is the sincerity and intention of the giving. When a gift is given with sincerity and good intention, then even a small gift can bring about great merits. The gift of the 5 precepts. The meticulous practice of the 5 precepts is a great gift to all beings, as it gives fearlessness, love and benevolence to all beings. According to Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, fearlessness is not only possible, it is the greatest joy. Of all gifts, the greatest is that of giving of Dhamma that leads to liberation from suffering. What about the giver? It is the responsibility of the giver to decide who to give, what to give, when to give, where to give, and how to give, so that the giving itself derives the best possible outcomes for all. Quality of the giver. He who himself enjoys delicious things but gives to others what is not delicious is a donor who is a slave to the gifts he gives. He who gives things of the same quality as he himself enjoys is one who is like a friend of the gift. He who satisfies himself with whatever he can get but gives delicacies to others is a lordly giver, a senior and a master of the gifts given. Consider the giver's state of mind. A noble giver is one who is happy before, during, and after giving. In other words, the state of a giver's mind is important in the act of giving. Consider also the motivation of the giver. The Anguttara Nikaya enumerates the following 8 motives. 1. Asaja danang deti. One gives with annoyance or as a way of offending the recipient or with the idea of insulting him. 2. Baya danang deti. Fear also can motivate a person to make an offering. 3. Adasi meti danang deti. One gives in return for a favor done to oneself in the past. 4. Tasati meti danang deti. One also may give with the hope of getting a similar favor for oneself in the future. 5. Datu danang ti danang deti. One gives because giving is considered good. 6. Aham pachami ime ni pachanti na arahami pachanto apachantanam adatun ti danang deti. I cook, they do not cook. It is not proper for me who cooks not to give to those who do not cook. Some give urged by such altruistic motives. 7. Imang me danang datato kalyano kitisado abu gachanti ti danang deti. Some give alms to gain a good reputation. And 8. Chitta lankatra chitta parikaratam danang deti. Still others give alms to adorn and beautify the mind. Unquote. Chanda, dosa, and moha are also listed as motives for giving. Sometimes alms are given for the sake of maintaining a long-standing family tradition. A desire to be reborn in heaven after death is another dominant motive. Giving pleases some, and they give with the idea of winning a happy frame of mind. The true valid motive for giving should be the motive of cultivating the mind, to rid the mind of the habit of greed and selfishness. Giving at the proper time. In the proper season they give, those with discernment, responsive, free from stinginess. Having been given in proper season, with hearts inspired by the noble ones, straightened such, their offering bears an abundance. Those who rejoice in that gift, or give assistance, they too had a share of the merit, and the offering isn't depleted by that. So, with an unhesitant mind, one should give where the gift bears great fruit. Merit is what establishes living beings in the next life. This is from Anguttara Nikaya 5.36. How a person of integrity gives a gift. These 5 are a person of integrity's gifts. Which 5? A person of integrity gives a gift with a sense of conviction. A person of integrity gives a gift attentively. A person of integrity gives a gift in season. A person of integrity gives a gift with an empathetic heart. A person of integrity gives a gift without adversely affecting himself or others. This is from Sappurisa Dana Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya 5.148. The Buddha compares the man who righteously earns his wealth and gives of it to the needy to a man who has both eyes, whereas the one who only earns wealth but does no merit is like a one-eyed man. The wealthy man who enjoys his riches by himself without sharing is said to be digging his own grave. The Dakkhana Vibhanga Sutta states that an offering is purified on account of the giver when the giver is virtuous, on account of the recipient when the recipient is virtuous, on account of both the giver and the recipient if both are virtuous, by none if both happens to be impious. The rewards of giving. The benefits of giving can be seen in this very life and in future lives. In this chapter, I have liberally included various passages and excerpts from articles in accesstoinsight.org to illustrate the various spectrum in rewards of giving. In the Siha Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya 5.34, the Buddha listed 5 rewards of dana. 1. A generous person is charming and pleasing to people at large. 2. A generous person is respected by people of integrity. 3. A generous person gains a good reputation. 4. A generous person is confident in the assembly of men. And 5. A generous person has a good rebirth. In addition, a person generous in thought, speech, and action has the ability to cultivate himself to attain the 4 rupa jhanas, as well as to eradicate the 10 fetters that ennobles him as an Arya. Merits as rewards. There are 3 bases for the acquiring of merits. The first is dana, or generosity. The second is sila, virtuous conduct or morality. And the third is bhavana, mental cultivation. Overcome the taint of greed and practice giving, extorts the Devata Samyutta. The Dhammapada admonishes us to conquer miserliness with generosity. The act of giving is the perfect antidote for our craving or tanha, the root of sufferings. Rather than increasing our attachment to material and immaterial objects, an attitude of generosity can lead us in the opposite direction to non-attachment and lessening of craving. Thus, generosity is the fundamental, albeit not the only step to the ending of desires. The ending of desires also requires wisdom. The rewards of giving are greatest when they are accompanied by understanding and purity of mind. Thus, the same gift can lead to vastly different outcomes, depending on the motivation of the giver and the purity of the recipient. The purer is the intention and motivation of the giver, the greater is the reward for him. These are the 5 rewards of generosity. 1 is dear and appealing to people at large. 1 is admired by good people. 1's good name is spread about. 1 does not stray from the rightful duties of the householders. And with the breakup of the body at death, 1 reappears in a good destination in the heavenly world. From Siha Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya 5.34. And in Anguttara Nikaya 10.177, I quote, "The donor does not go without reward," unquote. And in Samyutta Nikaya 1.41, it is stated that what isn't given is lost. Giving even one's last meal. If beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would the stain of miserliness overcome their minds. Even if it were their last bite, their last mouthful, they would not eat without having shared if there were someone to receive their gift. But because beings do not know, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they eat without having given. The stain of miserliness overcomes their mind. This is quoted from 80:26. It is said to be more meritorious to feed one person with right view, a stream enterer, than to give great alms such as that given by Velama. This is according to Velama Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya 9.20. It is more meritorious to feed one's returner than 100 stream enterers. Next in order comes non-returner, arahants, pachaka Buddhas, and sammasambuddhas. Feeding the Buddha and the Sangha is more meritorious than feeding the Buddha alone. It is even more meritorious to construct a monastery for the general use of the Sangha of the 4 quarters of all times. On the other hand, taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha is better still. Abiding by the 5 precepts is even more valuable. But better still is the cultivation of metta, loving kindness, and best of all, the insight into impermanence, which leads to nibbana. In other words, while dana is meritorious, the cultivation of the mind is even more so. Whatever you give, you receive. It is said that an almsgiver bestows on others life, or ayu, beauty, wano, happiness, sukhang, strength, balang, and intelligence. Having bestowed them on others, he becomes a beneficiary of them himself. The same idea is expressed by the succinct statement that one reaps what one sows. About Visakha. Once Visakha gave a learned explanations of the benefits she expected from her munificence when the Buddha questioned her as to what she saw as the advantages of her great generosity. She said that when she hears that a particular monk or nun has attained any of the fruits of recluseship, and if that monk or nun has visited Savatthi, she would be certain that he or she has partaken of the offerings she constantly makes. When she reflects that she has contributed in some measure to his or her spiritual distinction, great delight arises in her. Joy or pity arises in the mind that is delighted. When the mind is joyful, the body relaxes. When the body relaxes, a sense of ease or sukha is experienced, which helps the mind to be concentrated. That will help the development of the spiritual faculties, Indriya Bhavana, spiritual powers, Bala Bhavana, and factors of enlightenment, Bojjhanga Bhavana. These are the advantages she hopes for by her munificence. The Buddha was so pleased with her erudite reply that he exclaimed, "Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu," in approbation. It is more blessed to give than to receive. If we receive something pleasant, this in Buddhism is considered to be vipaka, the result of previous meritorious conduct. It is nice while it lasts, but when it is finished, its virtue is exhausted. To give, however, is kusala karma, skilled action, which will be productive of some pleasant vipaka or result for the giver. In this way, it can be clearly seen to be more blessed to give than to receive. In summary, the Pali word dana and chaga are often used interchangeably. In reality, dana is the act of giving, while chaga refers to the generous attitude or state of mind in the practice of dana. The word chaga literally means giving up or abandonment, and it is this quality of mind that we are cultivating when we do dana. The middle path begins with faith and generosity. The outer practice of giving, in fact, must be accompanied by the inner cultivation of the mind. Together, they form the foundation for the gradual cultivation of emptying the self of greed, hatred, and delusion through the perfection of moral conduct, cultivation of mind, and eventual attainment of knowledge and vision.